Hey guys, Verbal Engine 95, recording live from Look County Prison Cell. My camera setup broke, so while I'm waiting for the stuff to get back in, I guess I'm doing this one-handed. This is not a very flattering angle of me, but I'll make do with what I can. And, yeah, this is sort of inspired by recent events, but this episode's also, it's something I've thought of for a very long time, but it's also very, it's something I thought I'd never do. So I'll announce it now. It's Conan the Barbarian versus Tarzan. I always told myself I would not do mythological or literary characters. Literary maybe, but mythological characters mainly. And this is kind of riding the edge of that, simply due to the fact that there tend to be so many different properties and so many different backstories and origins, so many different recountings, especially with things like mythology, where these are stories that have literally been told for thousands of years, that it's impossible to really have accurate information. And in the context of a death battle, it's really subject to just what information they're deciding to use. But it's also just impossible to know all of it, because these aren't there's not necessarily a canon to mythology, or there is sort of to literary characters, but there's a fine line. So I never thought I would do this fight because it's well, which Conan and which Tarzan am I using, right? And do I, if I'm just using the concept of the character, then, well, the character has 6 or 7 different origin stories. Do I use the literary one or the comic one or the, because it's been owned by several different companies, so there's technically several different incarnations of the character. And, same with Tarzan. But, and the main reason I'm doing this is because Conan got announced for MK1. That's really it. But I kind of looked into it and I thought, as long as we're ignoring backstory, as long as you're ignoring backstory, it doesn't really change things as long as you're accounting for all feats. But there's a lot of feats within backstories that maybe become relevant. But what point is, I'm just going to wing it. I'm going to see how I feel about it. And if I don't care for it, I might never do this again. But at the same time, this fight is pretty badass. This is a really, really good fight. So I guess I'll just start out. I'll start out with Tarzan. So first and foremost, not doing, I feel like you would omit Disney Tarzan from this, pretty much altogether. Though Disney Tarzan did have an animated series that really expanded on the lore. However, I'm gonna go with primarily what I know of the literary versions of the character, and not any other extended universe versions, not the TV show, not the movies, not etc. So the literary version of Tarzan is, well, it's similar to the story of the movie. A family gets stranded on a jungle island, and both parents die. It's different in some backstories on how and when, but I believe the literary version is that the mother dies during childbirth and the father is killed by Kerchak, funny enough. Kerchak being the father figure gorilla of the tribe of gorillas, well, not tribe, but the group of gorillas that adopted him. And he ends up getting adopted by gorillas, by the way. But in the literary version, as far as I believe this is the literary version I'm using, in the literary version, they're actually they're a species of gorilla that is undiscovered by science, I believe they're called like the Bengali gorillas or something like. So I don't know. This sounds really hyper detailed for a series of books from like the 1800s. Maybe this isn't. Maybe this is the comic book one. I don't know. But anyway, he's adopted by a tribe. But I keep calling him a tribe. By a group of gorillas that are super strong. I mean, they're gorillas, so they're super strong. But like they're like especially strong even for gorillas. They're super intelligent. They're tree climbing gorillas, which is not incredibly common, and they're also super social. Like their social pack. You know, their family mentality and everything is a lot stronger than most gorillas, which is what leads him to be adopted. In doing so, he learns the language of these gorillas, which would also preclude to their intelligence, because I believe the only other species of animal that has a language other than humans are dolphins. But for these gorillas to have an interpretable language, it would actually, where things mean other things, where like making sounds means a thing, right? They would have to be incredibly smart and sophisticated. So, and during his adolescence and during his, becoming, right, he becomes he develops incredible skills both in, swinging from vines, running tree to tree, moving around the forest, becomes an expert hunter, becomes an expert with knives that he usually just makes out of stone, and spears that he makes out of stones and twigs and whatnot. Ends up and meets Jane, who is a British lady, and they go, now in the books, unlike the movie, he does actually return to London and lives within civilization. However, he rejects civilization. He basically considers it not just because he was raised in the jungle and he's not comfortable in civilization. He believes civilization is flawed, and that the jungle has the jungle is a more efficient and well put together system. So he ends up living in the jungle, not before meeting several individuals who teach him how to do everything from shoot to use arrows to learn things like diplomacy, but also they discover Tarzan, for being raised in the wild, is insanely intelligent, believe it or not, to the point where he learns languages in a matter of days. He learned French, Finnish, and then he later on in later adventures he would even learn more animal or lost languages. But again, he learned the language of the apes. He learns English, French, what did I say, Finnish already, German. Like, he's incredibly intelligent, which leads a lot of credence actually to him wanting, saying he wants to live outside of civilization, which, go figure. But upon returning back to the jungle, apparently the jungle has the, is a kind of Odyssey hotspot, because he ends up he's fought wizards. He's gone to the Tarzan equivalent of the Savage Lands that have dinosaurs in them. He's fought, borderline god or demigod characters like Queen La, who, and I'm not just pulling that from the animated series, I believe she is an actual character in the Tarzan books, who has like half jaguar people fighting in it. He's fought pretty much every species of animal in the jungle. He's survived falling from mountaintops. He's survived snake venom. He's survived everything that you could pretty much do to a person. He's survived. He's been shot. He's been, beaten by gorillas. Yeah, he is, without exaggeration, he is king of the apes, king of the jungle. So now going into Conan. Conan, I have liked Conan for a lot longer, but I'm not, again, because there's so many different versions of it, I'm actually not quite as versed in it. So Conan is from a race of people, in pretty much every backstory, he's a race of people called the, what is it, the Cimmerians, the Chimerans, something like that. They're a lost race of people. In some incarnations, they're supposed to be the descendants of the Atlanteans. In other incarnations, or not the descendants of the Atlanteans. In some incarnations, they're the ancestors of the Celts. In some incarnations, they're credited with the invention of steel, or at least iron, but no, it's called steel, so he has steel. Right? And in some incarnations, they just straight up die, so it doesn't matter what they've done. But he is considered to be part of this lineage, and he is always his family always dies at some point. So whether it happened when he was born or whether it happened afterwards, it doesn't really matter. But throughout his entire childhood, he was in one way or another destined to be a great warrior or conditioned to be a great warrior. Again, in some incarnations, he was enslaved from birth and spent his entire life laboring until he was strong enough to escape and kill his captor. Or in some incarnations, he was born on a battlefield, signifying that he would be a great warrior, and grew up to, do amazing feats even at a young age. But regardless of which incarnation you go with, Conan is a bad motherfucker, and he is, as his name suggests, a barbarian. He lives the barbarian lifestyle. Do not let that make you think that he is somehow lesser than any other civilized individual, because not only does he speak very elegantly, he also reads and writes in several languages, and is seen basically quoting great works of literature from his time period, or before his time period, rather. And by the way, he was born in a time between times, a time lost to history, a savage, magical, fierce time period of empires and whatnot that's undisclosed. And yeah, he is also a brilliant individual who just prefers the simplicity of barbarian life. It's not that he's not capable of being civilized, but he honestly feels it's more honest than living in society. But yeah, so in addition to his incredible strength, which depending, might have been destined by gods, namely Crom, or it could be strength that was developed over, years and years of hardship. He is superhumanly strong. I mean, there's you can say what you want about it. The man has chucked boulders multiple times the size of his body, and his body is pretty big, so that's kind of saying something. He's pulled horses at full. He's played tug of war with horses before. He's turned wheels. What do they call those? The crop wheels that they have multiple people push to like make crops. Yeah, he's pulled that by himself for years at a time. Not literally years, like he did nothing else, but like he's done that. He's labored that for years and years, again, in some incarnations. And he's also well versed in just the dangerous kind of things that would happen, as in, he's fought demons, he's fought sorcerers, he's fought beasts from other dimensions, he's fought Thor, a depowered Thor, a Thor who didn't have the might of who didn't have the power of a Thor who did not have the power of the god Thor, but still had the experience and abilities and skills and regular mortal strength of the god Thor. He's fought Wolverine, got killed, but he, he's done a lot of crazy shit because it was owned by Marvel for a while. Yeah, so getting into this fight, these two would respect each other, no doubt. That would not stop them from wanting to kill each other. Or not wanting to kill each other, but that would not stop them from ending up killing each other. A few things to take into account here. So, both of these individuals are ridiculous, are at the peak human levels, right? In some cases, over human levels, right? Tarzan, like I said, has fought things like dinosaurs and whatnot. Conan's fought stuff like demons. Tarzan's out-muscled gorillas. Conan's thrown giant boulders. I do think Conan is generally stronger, but Tarzan is no doubt much faster and more agile. Believe it or not, they're both incredibly intelligent. I mean, not just in terms of being able to learn languages, like I said, but also they're both incredible strategists and able to outsmart their think quickly and outsmart their opponents. However, if I had to pick a winner, I am going to go with Conan. And here are my reasons why. So, even though they're both versed in multiple types of weaponry and whatnot, generally speaking, Tarzan tends to have weapons that he makes in the jungle, right? So he happens to have stone weapons, made of wood and stone and everything, and spears, knives, whatever. He has used other things, of course, but these are things that he would keep on him or would be able to make very quickly, right? So in a neutral setting where you don't, have access to shit just randomly, this is what he would most likely be carrying, and that's also what he's more recognized for. Conan, on the other hand, is at all times with usually a sword. And again, remember, his people, in some incarnations, develop steel. And he worships, in some incarnations, Crom, the god of steel. And he is told the importance, how steel can be his only ally, and no one in this world can you trust, not men, not women, not beasts, but steel you can trust. So he always has a steel weapon on him versus a man who has rock weapons. So generally more superior weaponry. The other thing is that Tarzan, although he has fought in many occasions on other terrain, most of his agility and, speed, it is best exploited in a jungle environment. So in neutral territory, which would be probably closer to Conan, where Conan is, in Wasteland, right? In neutral territory, he would probably fight, it would probably benefit Conan. Especially because Conan is used to fighting, on an open battlefield, so that's kind of his forte, right? Which means Tarzan's ability to, run and jump and do all these crazy things that he's used to, are kind of nullified in a neutral environment. So, now assuming let's say they're in an environment where both characters have to the peak of their ability, right? So Conan is not at a disadvantage in the jungle, so it's possible that they would go into a jungle. Well, Conan's also fought in jungles before. He's also fought, ape people, believe it or not, funny enough. So does that give him an advantage over Tarzan? No. But it would, if it were more neutral territory, Tarzan requires a less neutral territory in order to maintain his advantage of speed. Tarzan, I believe, could kill Conan. He is strong enough to do so. However, much like Tarzan, Conan has survived pretty much everything that a human being can use against them. So generally, I think it comes to I think it comes to a few things. It comes to, like I said, the weapons difference. Conan has a strength advantage. Yes, Tarzan has a speed advantage, but wielding a superior weapon with an advantage in strength, I think means Conan really only especially with guys who survive as much as these two and have been through as much as these two, pretty much means that you're going to have to, it takes one hit to kill Tarzan, I think, in this fight. Or it takes much fewer hits with a better weapon. And also, Conan just having his weapon at the ready, whereas Tarzan might have to, make his on the fly, again, limits him to his environment. So, yeah, I'm gonna give this to Conan. This is really fun, and it was a good fight. Like I said, I don't know if I'm gonna do something like this anymore, but glad I did this one. Anyway, Verbal Ninja 95. See ya.